All right, time to continue the story. um, as I moved, or moved now, because it's a family now, married with one child, and um, I headed to Fort Ord, California. So I tried to remember uh, how that went, or how that came to be. Um, well, the biggest factor is when you remember, we were now on Okinawa. When you come back from an overseas tour, you put in your, I forget the form number. There's a form that you can request a duty station when you're coming back from overseas. And if, uh, I should say, if it works okay, I mean, if it works out for the benefit of the Army, then they'll usually do it or let you have that request. And how I came up with Fort Ord, knowing nothing about Fort Ord or the area, was why I requested to go to Fort Ord was while I was in Okinawa. A guy I worked with who had been to Fort Ord uh, says, "Hey," kept telling me, it was like this continual thing in my ear the whole time that he and I were together at work, or not every day, but it was just one of those things. He said, "Man, when you need to go, if you go back, you should request Fort Ord, California." And over and over again, he would tell me why, and the reason sounded pretty good. I mean, shoot, Fort Ord, you're right on the Monterey Bay, right up the road from Pebble Beach, Marina, um, Carmel. I mean, it's just gorgeous. What else? It's gorgeous. The weather's gorgeous there. You're right on the ocean. Um, I mean, you can't ask for more. I didn't realize it at the time, but from everything it was telling me, this would be the great place to go in California. Um, a great place to be stationed. So that's what I did. Um, Besides that, again, I had this. I think I had this underlying desire to be in California anyway. So let's see. I would have been all of, let's see, 22, 3, 22, 3, because that was 1975. So yeah, 20. Jeez, my, um, yeah, early 20s, and then of course Linda was a little younger, and Tim was just about a year old, and here we go. Uh, Leaving there, we've been there almost 3 years. Um, we left some friends there, some friends that we actually knew. Hospital, older guy, a little older than, in his 30s, was another gentry and his family that we got to know real well. But what I didn't realize was, I got my request to transfer to California and Fort Ord, but Fort Ord was going through a transition at the time, so didn't end up getting transferred to working at the hospital. Instead, the Seventh Division was reforming at the time. They had been inactive for a while. I don't know how many years, but the Seventh Division actually has a long storied history. But they were reactivating that division and putting it at Fort Ord, which was going from a basic training base to uh, a base that was going to house an infantry division. And by the way, they weren't ready for an infantry division at that time. They didn't have housing, they didn't have what they needed to begin with, but they started that division back up, reactivated, and put it there, even though they didn't have everything they needed. So a lot of people had to uh, got there, live out on the economy. In other words, they had to rent. So, and it's an expensive area, as I would find out. It's an expensive area, so the cost of living allowances were pretty high, and that would cover a lot of it. But still, it was a pretty expensive place to live off post. Now, once you get on post housing, which we did pretty much right away, pretty quickly, they kind of alleviated that. So, and then it was good. The part that was bad was I was getting into an coming to an infantry division. I'd never been with the infantry before, and secondly was you're getting into a division that's being reactivated. So they're just now getting the people, to form these infantry companies and battalions and brigades. So the infantry, uses pretty close. An infantry division is pretty close to 10,000 people. And so, but in the beginning, we had, like, for example, the infantry battalion that I was with, the medical platoon. I think when I got there, there's like 3 or 4 other people in the platoon, and that were there. It was just, and the medics that were going to be assigned to the companies were just not very many people there. It seemed like the first formation we had, which I think as being the ranking E5, which I wasn't ranking. I was an E5, but I didn't have much time in grade. I think I was in charge for a little while until we got we got a platoon sergeant who was an E6, and then we eventually got a second lieutenant whose name, I don't know why I can remember his name. I can't remember anybody else's name. His name was Lieutenant Smee, but he didn't have any experience at all, none. He was straight uh, straight out officers, OTC, officers training to this infantry unit. So, uh, but and so everybody was learning on the run here. I mean, you're getting issued supplies were coming in every day, vehicles, equipment, and all that stuff to put together, trying to put together an infantry battalion. So, and in my case, an infantry uh, medical platoon. We did eventually get a PA then, physician's assistant, which is just starting to become a reality in the Army. Because instead of having doctors, now in wartime, these you would have, well, I don't know, things have changed now. I was going to say they would have had an MD in there, but during peacetime you just have a PA there because you don't have enough MDs to go around. And so, but I think they may have, since the whole PA program has improved since then, that may just be. And those were warrant officers then, but PAs are now officers. Uh, um, and I think they have a lot. The program developed in the military now. PAs. It's a pretty tough school. At one time I was going to try to get into it, right? But that's another topic for another day. Something I should have taken advantage of, but anyway. So I had to go. Came back first, and I had to go to. I think I had to go to an NCO class at Fort Sam Houston first. Then I had like 30 days leave, and then we went from there. I think Linda and the kids stayed, or Linda and not kids yet. Linda and stayed with Tim in Indiana while I was going to school, and then I got back to Indiana, and then we went to Fort Sam Houston, Texas. A lot of things happened here that would impact the rest of my life and the rest of the military career and the rest of our lives. I just, at this time, I didn't, even though I had re-enlisted, I wanted to stay in the military. This was rough. I wasn't prepared. I was thinking I was just going to be in fixed facilities or something, so I wasn't quite really thinking, because if I would have realized something like this could happen. But I'm going to put in this infantry unit, and so it was a lot to learn, a lot to. You just learning on the run, learning how to do that. And we went to, a lot of times we were going to the field, which was usually a lot of times down to Fort Hunter Liggett, which is a godforsaken place in California. Um, and I wasn't having too good of a time here as far as if you want to know how my feelings about the military. Now I'm kind of twisted again. I'm thinking, why did I stay in? Um, uh, and so not quite having the same feeling that I did while I was in Okinawa about the future in the Army. Meanwhile, I'm an E5, and at that time, uh, uh, I need you want to get promoted, get more pay and a rank as fast as you can. But at that time, there was this glut of well, we were our MOS, military operations specialty, was a 91B. That's basically a medical specialist, combat medic. It's kind of like I might have mentioned before. You're just like a jack of all trades. You could work one time. You could work in a clinic. You could work in a patient care setting up on a ward. You could work like this in the infantry unit. There's field units, field medical units, infantry units, all kinds of places you work. So you're kind of a jack of all trades. And I at this time really I wasn't. I'm in the medical field, but I wasn't. This wasn't something that I had to go. They made me go to combat medic course, and so this wasn't really something I had picked. But as it turned out, it would be something that even though I hadn't picked it, would be pretty good for me both now or then and in the future. But uh, so anyway, um, before we get to the, um, and of course, 1976, our daughter Corina Beth Gentry was born in October. If I'm thinking straight, you have to forgive me. I'm getting old, so hey. Sometimes I get my dates mixed up. I forget whose birthday's when, but I'm pretty sure it was October 21st. Um, and of 1976, Corey was born. I remember uh, taking Linda to the hospital. She went into labor early in the morning, taking her to the hospital, and then she really didn't deliver Corey until maybe 10 o'clock in the morning. Um, that was kind of a mixed. Anyway, I was in the delivery room again. I may have mentioned I was in the delivery room for all my kids, and but once she finally went into the delivery room, it was pretty. This is her second, or actually, well, third delivery, but she didn't have anywhere near as much, or she didn't seem. I can't speak for her, but it didn't seem like it wasn't. It didn't seem like she was having as much pain and difficulty with the delivery this time compared to when Tim was born. So, so uh, Corey was here. Now we've got I guess the perfect family. I mean, we got a boy and a girl, and so um, I did my. I regret this later on, but I I pretty much talked. And if I remember right, I talked Linda into having a tubal, and so because I just didn't. I don't know. I'm just not. I just knew that we only wanted I only wanted a couple kids. Now I don't remember Linda's feelings about it, but I just wanted a couple kids. Maybe she wanted some more, but I talked her into getting the tubal. Once this second baby was born, and then of course, yeah, I was hoping it was a girl because then it would be like, okay, we're good, boy and a girl, boom, that's enough. And I'm just not. I'll just be flat out honest. I'm just not that good with little kids. I don't know. Compared to dad, my dad, I mean, could have little kids all over him all day long. He's like he loved little kids. I'm okay once the kids get a little bit older, they're about 6 or 7, 8 years old. Then I'm fine. But until then, I'm just not. It's just not. whatever that is. I don't know. I like it when they can start uh, doing things for themselves and doing things that you can do together with your dad, or your mom and dad together. So, not a not the best toddler type, not the best dad to have them. I wasn't the best dad anyway, so that was just one aspect. I just wasn't. I just wasn't a good dad. I just wasn't. So, but anyway, um, um, I mean, I, I, I love my kids, but it was just better when they were getting a little bit older. And of course, uh, I, um, so of course, so let's go. Got off thinking about how stupid it was. Anyway, um, Corey's born in '76, and then which is obviously a huge event, um, and um, is Linda working? She was almost always working. I don't, maybe she wasn't working now because she's pretty busy taking care of Tim and now Corey at home. Maybe she wasn't working. I was starting to say she was working. She seemed to be always working as a hairdresser somewhere. But maybe she wasn't working. Maybe I don't know. Maybe you could ask her. But anyway, um, so next thing is I'm trying to get promoted. We're all the E5s that are in this platoon are trying to get promoted. And like I mentioned before, we were not our MOS was 91B, and there's a big glut of 91Bs. And the Army used a system, a point system, uh, to promote people. In other words, there's a score. You go to a board and get recommended for promotion if you pass the board, but then you'll get points awarded to you based on your time in service, time in grade, your awards, and just you get points going before the board, answering the questions of the promotion board. But it's and then if you had any civilian schooling, there's a lot of things that you could get points from, but it's pretty hard to come up with a lot of the points. And in this MOS, once you get a big amount of people, uh, uh, and the reason you got such a glut is because the cutoff score was like 900 something, which if you're not in the military, if you've never been military enlisted system at the time, you won't know. But that was like, there were very few people that could come up with 900 something points. That's pretty hard. So, but that's the way they control the promotions was these cutoff scores. So, but we got to looking at, and it basically goes by they need people in this MOS. If the need is greater there, then the promotion point cutoff for that particular job or skill is lower. And the one for the score for the 91C, which is that's what the military's job code is for a practical nurse, was about 450 or 500, which is extremely low. I mean, if you've got anything on the ball at all, you'll go before a promotion board and come up with that many points easy, and then you're on the list. And then you would usually get promoted within a year after you made the promotion list. Well, someone in the group suggested that he was going to try to go to apply for 91 Charlie School. Now, I wasn't all that crazy about going to the nursing course, but at the time I knew I needed to get promoted for one thing, and I knew I wanted to get out of this unit that I was in, and that would solve two things. with one's, you get two things with one stone, I guess, or they're going two things for, and so, uh, and at first I thought, this is a wild idea. They're not going. It's too hard to get into that school. You have to apply and everything. Uh, but at that time, which is different from now, they had several medical centers throughout the U.S. that had a school there, a charter school there, 91 charter school. And guess what? Silas B. Hayes Army Hospital, right there at Fort Ord, was one of those places that had a 91 charter school. And we went up and talked to the superintendent of the school. One of the people went up and talked to the superintendent of the school and asked them, look, I'm going to apply for the school. What's the odds that I'll get in? Or it looks like they're not. It's pretty tough to get in the school. And the superintendent, I don't remember her name. She was a colonel. And anyway, and she was telling us, look, we, every year I don't know how many, or however so often they start a new class. There's usually about, you end up with about 60 in the class. And she said, but, the people that are coming into the class are coming from all over, and invariably, even though you say you're going to have a class of 60, there's always people who, for some reason, they're not able to make it to the class. It's a family problem or something happened. Life is life. Things happen to people. So you may, 6 months from now, you may be headed to, do whatever you're going to do. In this case, go to school, but then something happens. Who knows? But people are no-shows. There are no-shows for a bunch of different reasons. And the key thing that she was telling him was that, look, when we have we have supposed to have a class of 60, and we end up with only 52, then we're going to have 8 open seats. And what we do with that is, if we have somebody here locally, Fort Ord, who wants to go to the class, it's easy to get them into the class. And they got, instead of having 8. Then it comes down to finances. Now the Army's committed to pay for 60 people to go for school for 1 year, and so they'll go. If you have applied for the school and you're eligible to go and everything's good to go, they'll take from local, which was Fort Ord. And I think that there were 6 of us that have been. Knowing that, we applied for it. And now you got to remember, we're in a unit where the commander is just getting his unit going again for this division. So he's not all that crazy about letting people go when he's trying to get his unit up and running. He's just a skeleton type crew now, and so he wasn't really crazy about it, but did what he had to do. He signed off on it, but I probably thinking that they weren't going to take us, or maybe take 1 or 2 of us. Well, they took 6 of us, and which, before I forget it, all six of us ended up passing that course through the whole year. Ended up graduating from that course, and when we got done, I think there was about, out of 60, I think there was about 40. So we lost 20 people somewhere along the way. So we were the guys that came out of the infantry battalion, and we did pretty good. And it was a great way, because I was in the it's like going to school. I was still getting my E5 pay Monday through Friday. It was like, this is great. Did our rotations up at Silas B. Hayes classroom, and I don't remember it being, to me, I guess it was difficult. When it comes to the classroom stuff, it was fairly difficult, but it wasn't anything couldn't handle. Not that I was number 1 in the class or anything like that, but I don't know what I was in the class. But I know I passed all the exams we ever had, and before you know it, a year passes. I'm now a 91C, and it's only going to take like 450 points compared to 900 points to get promoted. And 6 months later, I'm an E6, and that was the whole purpose of it. Now I'm made. um, I'm committed now to being a 91 Charlie, a practical nurse, and all that entails in the military. But I wasn't all that. I really wasn't looking forward to work in a fixed facility uh, so much anymore. But I got promoted, got more money, got more status, and so forth, and so uh, and as I would find out, um, taking that course for two reasons. One, I needed to get promoted, and one, I needed more money, um, and just to get out of that infantry battalion that was forming up. Uh, and I say that because my next experience with an infantry battalion would be good, but it was an infantry battalion that had already been formed and ready to go for a long time. So it was two different situations. And so, but anyway, I got out of that, and this time I didn't get a choice of where I was going. But we'll talk about because when I graduated, in other words, when I graduated from there, we got duty assignments, and the assignment I got wasn't really what I wanted at all. But we'll talk about that later. And so, um, so I mean, here. Um, the family gets bigger because we've gone from husband, wife, and one child, a son, to two children now. But I've also gained. Not only have I gained a daughter, um, but I've gained some education and just totally thinking that okay, well, I'll use this while I'm in the army. When I get out, I'm going to do whatever I'm going to do. It's not going to do. I never dreamed I was going to do anything in the medical field after I got out of the army. It was some other. I had a lot of other ideas about what I was going to do, and working in the medical field wasn't one of them. But anyway, so this was a pretty. It was just the area again. The area was just gorgeous. I was naive enough to think that maybe I'll retire and come back here someday. No, no, you're not. It cost $1 bazillion to live there. I mean, you would have to be making to live in a civilian world there in that area, and it's probably even much worse now. It's just crazy, but it was beautiful. It was nice. I mean, having the ocean right there, this Monterey Bay, the stores and the um, Cannery Row was there, and the restaurants were just great, man. It was great, and just got totally spoiled by the weather, and yeah, right. I was gonna go back there someday. Yeah, in my dreams, but uh, it's just gorgeous area. Well, Clint Eastwood lived down the road at Carmel, so that's what kind of gorgeous it was. But as I mentioned, there was some big things that happened that would affect the future. The birth of a daughter, and the new training, and um, uh, and it just that would affect a lot of things. Getting that medical year, the nursing course, and then later on my license affected a lot of things in the future. Um, it, I think we'll stop there. Um, and then we'll continue on with the next duty station. Maybe. I'm not sure about that. We'll I'll put a song after this, and then we'll see. We'll see. Okay, the song I'm going to do is it's a Hank Williams song. I'm not. I haven't done on a regular basis. Sat down and played a lot of Hank Williams songs. But this song, I happened to hear on a video, that was Corey's video. I think it's a couple years old, because Lauren and Kellen they were singing along with this song. So I don't know why. I just got inspired to go sit down and play this song, and after I went through it a couple times, I just was thought, I'm going to record this song. Hank Williams died in the early 50s. I think he died in 51 or 52. I was born in 52, so right before I was born, or maybe the year I was born. And he really was only 28 or 29 when he died. He died of an overdose of, he died of alcohol, morphine, and another one that was mixed in there. So the man was definitely keeping himself going with some medications, but it cost him his life. Now, during his short career, though, Hank Williams wrote and recorded some of the absolute keystones when it comes to country music, you know. And his style is probably responsible, even though it's hard to recognize it now, for the country music we have today. And it's directly responsible for everything that we saw in the late 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, and, well, into the 90s as far as I know. But Hank Williams, to me, is to country music and American music in general, but particularly in country music, he is what the Beatles were to rock and pop. You know, there's no denying that. There's just no denying. I'm not a the songs. You take your songs, just like the one I'm going to do, "Your Cheating Heart," and other, I don't know how many top songs he had been recorded by dozens and dozens and dozens of people over the years. So I'm not a fan of his voice so much as I am the songs. And when you hear other people do his songs, it's like, wow, those are just, you can see why they just stand the test of time. You know, "I'm So Lonesome I Could Cry," and goes on and on. Hank Williams isn't. And early on, when I started to follow country music, I did listen to some of Hank Williams' songs. But it was not too long after I came interested in country music that boom, there was Merle Haggard, and that was like, okay, that's like, that's what I want to be like, Merle Haggard. So anyway, the song is "Your Cheating Heart" by Hank Williams. Your cheating heart will make you weep. You'll cry and cry and try to sleep, but sleep won't come the whole night through. Your cheating heart will tell on you when tears come down like falling rain. You'll toss around and call my name. You'll walk the floor the way I do. Your cheating heart will tell on you. Your cheating heart will pine someday and crave the love you threw away. Time will come when you'll be blue. Your cheating heart will tell on you when tears come down like falling rain. You'll toss around and call my name. You'll walk the floor the way I do. cheating heart will tell on you. Your cheating